Good evening. Welcome to KZGN's third in a series of 3 live candidate forums for the local races for the general election to be held November 4th, 2014. My name's Scott Lehey. I run the Indian Wells Valley Discussion Forum. Thank you for your help. Indian Wells Valley Discussion Forum on Facebook, and I had a website here for a long time for local discussions. I'm the moderator. Tonight's broadcast features candidates for the Sierra Sands School District School Board. There are 3 seats coming up, and we have 4 candidates on your ballot. 3 of the candidates are here. One is on orders and is in D.C., so he won't be here. But I think it's time that we introduce our candidates tonight. From your left, we have Tim Johnson, we have Amy Castillo-Covert, and we have Christina Witt. Kurt Rockwell is on orders, as I said, and so he can't be here, but we are going to oblige him by reading a prepared statement for him prior to the other candidates speaking. Questions tonight will be coming from our distinguished panel. We have Robert Eierman, Al Huey, and we have Aaron Crutchfield is the managing editor at the DI, and Al and Robert host the KZGN television program Ridgecrest Talk. Tonight's forum will begin with opening statements. These will be 1.5 minutes apiece. We will then move to a series of questions. Candidates will have 45 seconds to answer each question. They will be timed. We have a display in front of them, and so they'll be able to see how much time that they have left for their answers. They provided me a large bell at the first one of these, but I didn't use it because I didn't need it. I just know how to move on to the next candidate, and we'll do so. But generally, short, succinct answers are appreciated, and they work out the best for this sort of stuff. Sometimes it's not easy, but we do the best. This is not a debate. We are not really arguing with each other. What we're doing is we're asking the same questions to all the candidates, and so all the candidates will have a chance to answer each and every question. Questions will not only be coming from our panel, we'll be asking our viewers, you out there who are watching this program, to call the station here. The telephone number is area code 760-463-1272. Again, 760-463-1272. We ask that if you have a question for these candidates for school board, that you give them a call. We will play your question on the air, and they will have a chance to respond to your questions. You may also email questions directly to the station. We have somebody watching the computer right now. We got somebody on the inbox. Raise your hand there, Aaron. So questions coming in for the candidates can also come by email. The address for that is forums@kzgn.net. Again, forums@kzgn.net. If you miss those phone numbers, I will be repeating them periodically, or the phone number, I'll be repeating it periodically through the program. And I think it's about time that we get going and listen to our candidates. But before we do so, we have agreed, Kurt D. Rockwell, one of the candidates, he's an incumbent on the board, is on orders and was unable to attend tonight's forum, but he sent a prepared statement, so we're going to oblige him by reading it for you, and I'll do that now. This is from Kurt Rockwell. I would like to thank you all for holding these forums to educate the voters of the Indian Wells Valley about the candidates for the local races in the upcoming election. My apologies to you and my fellow candidates for my inability to be there tonight. Unfortunately, I was recently informed 2 meetings, Tuesday and Wednesday of this week, in Washington, D.C. I've heard that before. No, just kidding. That I must attend. I hate to miss your forum, and I especially miss the opportunity to learn about the views of the other candidates tonight. What really drives my passion for serving in the capacity of a Sierra Sands School Board member is the notion that a strong public education system is truly one of the pillars of a local, strong community. No matter what the economic opportunities are in the area, a strong school district is a positive draw to new residents and a compelling reason to stay for the current residents. In order to ensure that we maintain great schools and a stellar staff running the compelling programs that are the hallmark of Sierra Sands, we need to have a quality board with strength of character and a diverse skill set that is equipped to address the complicated issues that come before the board on a continuous basis. I feel that my skill set is a very valuable piece and one of the most capable boards in the state, and I'd like to maintain and improve upon that community asset. Throughout some of the most difficult financial times in our state in recent years, which have occurred during my 2 terms, Sierra Sands has been able to maintain better benefits, higher staffing levels, and a broader set of program offerings to our students than the vast majority of districts in the state. That was kind of a run-on sentence, though. I think the English teacher should talk to him. This is a testament to the ability of our board, administration, and bargaining units working together to weather the storm, focused on what is best for our students. The decisions to enable this success have to be made real by a quality board, analyzing the input from the community and all constituents involved. I believe that I've been a strong member of the board, that I have learned valuable lessons in the process that have enhanced my ability to serve, and that I continue to have the passion to do this job in a compelling manner, so I ask for your vote. One of the aspects of local elections that I find fascinating is the ability that we, as the voting public, have to educate ourselves about candidates and issues. I'm also puzzled by the lack of that availability that many of our citizens choose to use in that process. I congratulate you in holding this forum to help that process, and I express my gratitude to those in the audience who have taken the time to really learn about the candidates. If you have questions for me, please contact me at 760-382-9287 or at krockwell, that's one word, at SSUSD.org. Thank you again for this opportunity, and I wish all of the candidates the best of luck. Okay, that was Kurt Rockwell's prepared statement. That in no way implies my endorsement for him. I was reading it for him as a courtesy because he is on orders, and so I understand how that works. Now, the folks that made it here, welcome to you. Let's start this off. We're going to begin, as I mentioned before, with your opening statements. There'll be a minute and a half. And we'll start with Christina, and we'll just go down the line. So, Christina, please, if you will.
Okay. Actually, I kind of had to do this because I felt my voice wasn't being heard. In December of 2013, my daughter ran a mile, walked up to her PE teacher, and said, "I don't feel good." And her PE teacher, after the event, talked to me and said she turned so white her freckles disappeared, and she fell over. So that showed that there was a medical condition that that had presented itself after strenuous activity. Her doctor immediately took her in for her pediatrician, and her pediatrician released her from strenuous activity until the beginning of the next semester. Despite the fact that the PE teacher had witnessed my daughter's condition, she continued to stress my daughter, creating other issues. And in February of 2013, I pursued my right as a parent for a medical 504, which would alleviate, which would give her certain contingencies in her education to ensure she succeeded, no matter, despite the fact that she had a temporary disability. During the medical 504 meeting, there was the counselor, an administrator, and of course her teachers, and we were discussing what would be best for my daughter. The PE teacher seemed concerned about my daughter. She said, "I will do what I can to help her." But what I didn't know was that by law, a medical district nurse had to be present to represent my daughter and the district, and it wasn't done. And throughout this, you'll start hearing more of my story. Thank you.
Amy?
Good evening. Thank you for this opportunity to present who I am and why I feel I am the right choice for Sierra Sands Unified School District Board. I've had children in the district since 1985. My two youngest are attending Burroughs High School. I also have grandchildren and a number of nieces and nephews that are in district schools. I've had the honor of serving on the board since 2000, and I feel I bring experience, consistency, and accessibility to the table. Our district faces many challenges at the moment: implementation of Common Core, construction projects, program improvement due to No Child Left Behind legislation that's not been reauthorized, sequestration funding challenges, and the President zeroing out our impact aid money for federal properties. We've had many administrative changes, including a new superintendent and a change in our board, which changed the number of voices that our community has. My background is working with families with special needs children as well as the students themselves, and I'm a firm believer in a free and appropriate education for all students. I've spent many hours volunteering at various schools. I have a strong, consistent presence being on the board at meetings, at open houses, back to school nights, graduations, and I've represented the board at local budget committee meetings with the WASC Accreditation Committee. I've also been the national or the federal representative to the National Association of Federally Impacted Schools, and I've represented our district for about 9 years at the federal level, lobbying for funding and for education. So that's why I think I would be a good choice for the board.
Thank you, Amy. Tim?
Thank you for having me tonight. I'm Tim Johnson. Thank you, Scott, Robert, Al, and Aaron for hosting these forums. It's my pleasure to be here tonight. Thank you, Christina, Amy, and Kurt for also presenting your candidate forum also. Sorry. So what drives me to be here tonight? My passion for students and their success is a Johnson family tradition. My father's on the school board. Both my mother and my wife were both teachers. And as a committed parent of 4 SSUSD students, I have championed these causes as a school board president and vice president from 2008 to 2012. The Citizen Oversight Committee for Measure A, which got the $57 million for our modernization programs. And then also on the SSUSD Budget Committee, VHS Music Boosters, and the PTO. One unique skill that I have that I bring to the board, I'm sure this question will get asked, but I'll say it now. I've been in the Navy and the Navy Reserves for the last 33 years. I currently work at VX9 with the military families. So I bring that perspective of 33 years of service and also working day to day with the military families that this community supports. So I'm looking forward to questions from the audience and from the forum, and I'm ready for those. Thank you.
Great. We're going to we will start out with some questions. I'm going to repeat that telephone number, folks. If you're at home and you have a question for our candidates for the Sierra Sands Unified School District's school board race, please call 760-463-1272 or email your questions to forums@kzgn.net. Who's going to start off the questions tonight? Robert's going to go. Oh, we're going to change it to 45, but I have to move the arrow back and forth. So Robert, if you'll go ahead, we'll start off with Tim down there, and then we'll just move around. Well, everybody will have a chance to take one first and last, and Robert. So.
Okay. What do you feel is the #1 challenge facing our schools today?
I think the #1 challenge facing our schools today is the fiscal constraints put on the federal and state government. With all the implementations and the cuts to budget, California is in the bottom 5 of the nation for per pupil spending. So because of that, each school district has less money to spend to educate our children. Another issue that we're going to face is the Common Core, which is a mandated regulation. So nationwide, all students are learning the same material, and just the adoption of those new measures into the school district and how they're going to implement it, it's going to be challenging for the next few years because the budget isn't changing to correct those.
Amy?
Great question. I think the biggest challenge that we have at the moment is trying to get No Child Left Behind reauthorized. The No Child Left Behind was supposed to have been reauthorized in 2007. It's 2014. I'm told by my friends and colleagues in Washington that it'll probably be at least 2016 before it's even actually looked at. In the meantime, our schools are all in, not all of them, but we have several schools that are in program improvement. because we aren't meeting the federal standards, which are pretty much impossible to meet, while we have schools that, those same schools have outstanding APIs. We're losing money because we're having to put programs into place to try and help those students when they really don't need the extra help. So that's actually, to me, that's one of the biggest challenges we have.
Christina?
For me, at this point, is reobtaining trust back into the district regarding the administration, especially with what happened to my daughter. On May 2nd, my daughter was called out of her science class to have a meeting with the principal and the PE teacher. This is after the 504 had been established, that would sit there and say there were contingencies for my daughter's PE restrictions. And in that, my daughter was presented by the principal, who said, I see nothing in your 504 that says you can't run a mile in 12 minutes. If you don't run it in 12 minutes, you will not promote with your class, and you will not be allowed to go to Magic Mountain, which put a 14-year-old girl who, of course, does not have the common sense of an adult to make a decision of putting her health at risk or to run so she can graduate and go to Burroughs.
Time. Next question, Al. This will start with Amy.
Let me remind you again about your placement of your mics.
Oh, sorry.
Keep it down a little bit. My question for all of you is, what is the primary responsibility of public education?
The primary responsibility for public education is to ensure that all of our students, all of our children, have a fighting chance at being able to be successful citizens, to be able to go on, live the life that they want to live, to be able to go into higher education if that's their calling. I believe we also have a responsibility to work harder at our voc ed so that our students that are not college bound have trade schools and have the apprenticeship skills that they need, ROP skills, in order to be able to take the path that's best suited for them. Basically, it's our responsibility, which we have taken on by agreeing to be part of the public education system, to give every one of those students that free and appropriate education that they're guaranteed by federal law, and enable them to be able to achieve whatever is going to be their life dream.
Thank you, Amy. I totally gooned the beginning of timing you, but you did a marvelous job of saving me. You did, and I really appreciate. 8 seconds. I really appreciate that, Chris.
I believe a safe environment is vital, and the administration and the schools should take safety in our school district very seriously. These are our children. They're there, and they are guaranteed by law a safe environment. In this case, on May 5th, my daughter had a substitute teacher for PE, in which she informed the substitute, I have a medical 504. The substitute looked at his notes and said, your teacher said nothing about you having a medical condition, you have to run. And mind you, that to get an A for running 1 mile under normal conditions, you have to do it in 9 minutes. The substitute was unaware of the contingencies of my daughter's 504 plan, which the teacher clearly violated by neglecting to inform the substitute.
Tim?
Thank you. The importance of, can you read the question one more time? Sorry.
What is the primary responsibility of public education?
The primary responsibility of public education is to afford everybody the opportunity for free public education, and that includes abilities, disabilities. It gives everybody the opportunity for the same opportunities as a U.S. citizen to be educated, paid for by the taxpayers. It also, as Amy stated, the ability to move on to a four-year college or trade school or other adventures that they'd like to move on to. I think that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, this next question will go to Chris, and it will come from Aaron.
All right, this one actually comes in from emails sent in by Robert Hill, and he asks, every year the school district does not approve the charter school, and yet the state overturns that decision every year. What are the reasons that the charter school is turned down by the school district every year?
Well, I don't know the answer to that. I like the charter school. I have a son in there, and they do really, really, really excellent job with him. He also has a child, is a child with an IEP, which is a disability thing, and they have accommodated him. He has auditory processing disorder, which they cater to his hearing. and you know, it's been a positive experience. So I don't know why the charter school constantly has issues.
Okay, Tim?
The charter school, when it first got established, the charter itself was written. Actually, Amy was part of that process, so I'm sure she'll have a much better answer than I did on why it was started. But my personal view on charter schools, I think they have their place in communities. If the charter school actually had a charter that was something special, it brought something new and unique to the community, I think charter schools are great. You know, foreign language program, technology, gate, something that was different and special for the community. I'm totally support charter schools as a whole, but I don't think our local charter school provides anything unique that the rest of our schools provide.
I actually fully support parental choice. I was one of the original founding families that started the charter school, and we did it because we wanted some options in the community that we didn't feel at the time, which was like, used to singing, that, you know, 14 years ago were not necessarily existent within the district. And it's every, I believe, 3 to 5 years that the charter comes up for renewal. And in the past, it's simply there are a set of criteria that our board has felt does not quite meet that the board or the state does believe that it meets it, so the state has been willing to. And in the past, the charter school has been happy to be separate.
Okay, the next question will go to Robert, and we'll start with Tim on this one.
What are your thoughts about how the district and school sites can encourage involvement and participation from families who have felt disenfranchised from their local school community?
This is for Tim.
For me, okay. I think some of the ways that parents can get re-involved back in the schools is have a strong program at the schools that's open and friendly to the parents. I mean, strong parent-teacher organizations help with that, or other organizations like the Music Boosters and other boosters at the schools that help families get reintegrated. The friendly smile at the front door is always nice, so the parents feel welcomed when they come to the school. A lot of the night programs, open houses and back-to-school nights are great places for parents to feel involved. But I think the biggest thing is the parents' willingness to step out and get involved with the schools, and then see what's actually available for them to participate in. And a lot of those are just volunteering in their kids' classroom or volunteering when they have free time.
Communication is really important. Being able to reach out and communicate with parents, being able to have that same access going back the other direction. I think involving social media is another great way. I'm a big fan of Facebook. It gets a lot of information out to a lot of people. And for a lot of parents, part of it is just that simply everybody is so stretched. Most parents are working at least 2 jobs, you know, one for each. They've got children in several different schools. If they've got a blended family, they've got maybe, between them, they may have 6 or 8 children at different schools within our community. And it's just a matter of trying to find ways that we can reach out to them, try and include them in as much as possible, and make sure that they know that they are always welcome to come and help out.
Christina?
I wish I could say my experiences have been that positive. In trying to work with my daughter's condition, I felt like I was being slighted, that I didn't know what I was talking about, that the administrators and the school and the teachers actually knew more. I tried to partner with them, saying, look, this is my daughter's health that's at risk. And I was told, oh, well, no, you know, long distance running means that's 3 miles. And I'm like, when was the last time anyone ran 3 miles? And for the first time, I was actually scared to put my daughter in Burroughs. And I have a PE teacher, Mr. Pierce, who, thank you so much, is actually my partner. And that's what we need as parents. We need a partner who's going to stand by us and take care of our kids with us. Thank you.
Next question, Al, and this one will go to Amy Castillo-Covert.
As you know, Common Core is now a requirement. Please state your opinion about Common Core program and explain your reasons for supporting it or not supporting it.
Common Core is here. It's the newest and latest and greatest on the pendulum known as education. As long as I've been in education, we watch a pendulum go back and forth. Right now it happens to be Common Core. I think it's got some great aspects. It's reaching out to our kids in a way that our kids need to be reached out to with technology. I don't know how many of you ever noticed, but 1-year-olds know how to operate an iPhone. They're great at it. Common Core is going to help them utilize that special skill set that they have. The challenges with it are that there's no real textbooks that are written specifically for Common Core. Our district is using the curriculum that we currently have and maneuvering it into being used for Common Core. But it's the current, it's what we're doing, and we're embracing it.
Actually, I was going to ask in this case if I can just share my seconds with them. I don't really, in all honesty, this was just an opportunity to get my voice heard. I'm not really wanting to be on the school board, but this is the only way anyone would listen. So if they want to answer it and have my seconds, they can have them.
Well, I'm sorry, we're not really set up for that. The question period is 45 seconds long.
Okay.
So
right.
that's the way that we'll do it, but you still have 25 seconds.
Okay, so my opinion on Common Core is it seems to try and make equal what's not equal. You always have your gifted students, you'll always have your students are the lesser abilities, but it may have strengths elsewhere. I am not impressed with that. I think that we should allow the gifted to thrive. We should allow support for those who can't. And in regards to technology, being that never mind.
Tim.
So as California converts from California standard assessments into Common Core, a lot of the California-based standards are actually kind of leading edge for the Common Core. So for California, it's not going to be that big a change. Some of the implementations are changing. The math adoption is kind of interesting. The way they're making the teachers teach like 10 different ways. As an example, it's probably not 10, but 5 or 6 different ways to do a math problem. And then they're going to be testing on all the different ways of doing it, instead of just finding one way to learn how to do math and do it. So there's some teaching challenges just as we implement it and they work out the bugs, but I think eventually it's going to be a decent program. It's just until we get textbooks that are adopted to actually line up with Common Core, there's a lot of extra work for the teachers.
Okay, thank you. Folks, we're going to take a short break here, and then we'll be right back with our candidates and more questions. Don't forget the phone number, 760-463-1272, if you have a question for any of these fine candidates. Thank you. We'll be right back. Back. Oh, that was loud.
I just spiked the music.
I've been in some bar bands before. You may not. Fritz, we just like to kill. Sorry, Fritz. Okay, we're gonna this time we're gonna start with Aaron's question, and this one will go to Chris. So.
With 1 or 2 meetings a month, all school boards are limited in what they can do. How does or should the board decide what's most important?
Can I go ahead and just pass on that?
Certainly.
Okay.
Jim.
You're up.
Am I up?
You're
okay.
up.
So I think the way the board decides what's important, a lot of things are federally mandated, state mandated policies and directives. So a lot of that stuff you just have to do as part of the normal course of duty. Right now, the school district is in the process of doing a bunch of modernizations and construction projects, which are using a large percentage of the budget. So that's another thing that's important right now to make sure those projects get off. And then the other part of the board is board business, making sure that the community knows what's going on in the school district, and also that that all the programs are addressed as needed.
Amy?
Pretty much Tim nailed it. A lot of our agenda is driven by state requirements and by federal mandates, things that we have, certain time frames that we have to go through and address, different things like the budget. We have a specific deadline that we have to do our budget by every year, and certain deadlines within that year for what we do for different parts of the budget. But if the need arises and something comes up, then our board has always been excellent about being able to put together and make sure that we have enough in attendance, have a quorum for special meetings if something comes up in between our regularly scheduled meetings. And so I think our district has done a really good job. Our board has done a very good job with that.
Sorry, Amy. I know that they were saying before it was too high. Now it's too low. So we got to try to like just get it in there in that
magic spot.
Happy
yeah,
spot.
not in your lap. Thank you so much. Okay, the next question will come from Robert, and this one will go to Tim to start with.
Okay. What is a priority concern that you might have regarding the district that has not been raised?
I think everything that I feel is important has been. I was on the board 2 years ago, so most things have been raised in the past few years. Some of my personal concerns are right now is the magnitude of constructions that we're going to start over the next year and a half, and make sure that we're fiscally prudent on how that money's spent, and that all the requirements are in place to make sure those programs are successful. So the new Murray Middle School and the modernization of boroughs, those are the things that are important for me. Also, the other thing that's important for me is make sure that our teachers and staff are compensated appropriately for their experiences and their value to the district. Over the years, the teachers have kind of taken the brunt of all the pay cuts and the expenses of the district, and that's because 85% of the district's budget is teachers and salaries and benefits.
Amy?
Can I just ask for clarification? Is that addressed tonight or addressed in general with the board over a period of time?
Whichever way you would feel most comfortable answering that.
Okay, thanks. I think one of the highest priorities, of course, is making sure that our teachers and staff are well compensated for what they do. They put in a lot of time and energy. They also spend a lot of their own money maintaining their classrooms, prepping their classrooms. There are the concerns about the construction. That's huge, especially considering that it's the federal government and the state government trying to work together. And herding cats is a pretty good analogy for that, because trying to get everybody to line up and make it happen so that our kids are able to get moved into their new school is challenging. I think mostly that, and just making sure that all of our kids continue to get that education that they're entitled to get, all of our students.
Chris?
I think a concern that I have is in regards to when an issue like this comes up, that there's no clear recourse for a parent. In the case of this, I went to get some help. The ambulance bill alone was $2,800, and it says here school time accident insurance coverage does not guarantee full payment of claims. The district insurance carrier will cover up to additional $2,500 worth of medical bills. And yet, in this case, it was willful neglect. And in essence, according to the Sierra Sands definition, child abuse. Child abuse is a physical injury which is inflicted by other than accidental means on a child by another person. Unlawful means injury resulting in a traumatic condition. And when a child is falling down a hill and no one sees it because there's no supervised person watching her and medical aid, then we have an issue.
Okay. All right, the next question will come from, let's see, Al, and this one will go to Amy.
Okay, I'm going to ask you just to nod or shake your head no on a couple pre-questions here before I get to my question. You'll all take an oath if you're elected to office, yes?
Yes.
That oath is to the Constitution of the United States and to the state.
Yes.
The Constitution, federal Constitution, does not authorize federal government to get involved in education.
Right.
True?
True.
Okay. My question then, with so much of what the school district does being mandated from the state and the federal government, why do we need a local school board?
Amy, you're the star on this one. So.
Praise be. I love this question.
Hit it.
The whole reason that you need a local school board is because of the latest and greatest that's coming out of Sacramento, the local control funding that is actually allowing school boards to have more flexibility, not as much as we would like, that will never happen, but as much as we can possibly have to be able to put the programs back in, maintain the programs that we are using for our students that work for our kids. But when you look at the fact that special education, we're lucky if we get up to 40% of what we're mandated to do, we get reimbursed for maybe up to 40% of that. You need your local school board to help decide how that little 40% is going to get spent.
Christina?
I always love the constitutional questions because there's a lot of actually departments that we have on the federal and state level that are technically unconstitutional, and that includes the education. And if you look at how the structure of our education board is from the federal down to the state, there are so many redundant departments, it's a waste of our taxpayer dollars that could be better well spent elsewhere. But in regards to needing a school board, that's my guess is it's a mandate from the state and or federal government, and you know, it's kind of like if you don't pay your taxes, what's going to happen? If you don't pay your property taxes, what's going to happen? They're going to take your house. Is it right? No, but are they going to do it anyways? Yeah. Thanks.
Tim?
So I think there's, like Amy said, local control of money and programs. Who knows what your school district needs better than local people? If the federal or state ran it from the federal level or the state level, a lot of things get missed. Now with the local control funding formula that we're under starting now, what that's done is they've still mandated all the programs, but they haven't untied the money to them. So you have still the mandated programs with local control, but there's still all the federal and state oversight to make sure those programs are implemented correctly. But they want you to fix the problem yourself. So when there's lots of money, the feds and the state will direct you how to do the programs. When the money gets cut, they say, you figure it out with the money they've given you. So that's kind of where we're at today. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Our next question is going to be a live call. We have a caller in, so and Chris will be starting this one out. So can we go ahead with the call, please?
Michelle, do the parents have inputs as to the books being used for the kids, or is it all being dictated by the state or federal government?
From my understanding, we typically don't have a say. And the reason is I actually have kids in Common Core, you know, and it doesn't matter the school board or whatnot. I have a son at charter school. I had one at Ops. I have one at Burroughs. And I did not have a say in any of the curriculum. I think the only thing I had a say in was regarding the health section regarding sex education. Other than that, what was taught to my children, I didn't have a say in. Thank you.
Tim?
Actually before all the adoptions for all the different programs. So the language program, the English program, the math, all the programs we have. Whenever there's an adoption that the district's taken over, we actually have an adoption committee. Open up so parents can check out the books, read them. There's a committee that gets together, including parents and the teachers and community, to make sure that what's in those books are what the parents want their kids to be taught. There are state and federal adoptions that are available, and all the book companies make them, and then it's up to the school district to pick which program they want, and then the school board approves that for the cost. And adoptions are expensive. I mean, English language arts was like $500,000, so it's a huge investment for districts when they do an adoption. That's why they only happen every 5 to 7 years. Thank you.
Amy?
Parents have the opportunity to investigate, to look into the textbooks, to check them out. They do have the opportunity to be considered for the committee. It's called the DIMPS committee, and that is made up of local parents, educators, has people from the base on it. There's quite a variety of people that sit on that committee. And then before the curriculum is ever adopted by the board, then it's available for the public to view. And I believe that's always published in the paper when that's available. The other thing that a lot of parents may or may not realize is that there are opportunities, if necessary, for you to opt a child out if there's a particular curriculum that you don't want them in. There are options.
Okay, the next question will come from Aaron, and this will go to Tim.
What will you, as a board member, do to assure that teachers have the support and materials needed to successfully assist students in meeting state standards?
As a board member, all the textbooks adoptions that are approved as part of the process. The other thing is we have a huge portion of the budget. Well, huge portion. The little bits left over is for training to make sure that the teachers and paraprofessionals are trained in the materials they have to teach. The teachers are also afforded a time that they can actually collaborate with other schools within the district at the grade level to make sure that they're using best practices, and that's afforded as part of their day. Not every day, but I think right now I think at Burroughs is once a month, and at other school districts once or twice a month. But giving the teachers opportunity to get together and collaborate on those days, so there's early release for the students at the high school level, so they can get out and have time to work together.
Amy?
We have, throughout our district, we've adopted professional learning communities, and those are an opportunity for teachers to collaborate with each other, work together to help figure out what each other is doing, what their best practices are, what they can improve on their own. We also are working hard at offering as many trainings as possible in the different areas that teachers are interested in and that paraprofessionals are in, because we also want to make sure that our support staff are well trained and well supported. Trying to make sure that they have as much input into what's going on as possible. They're the ones we look to them and ask them what they're looking for training. When I say they, it's the district staff, it's administration doing that, and we're very supportive of that. I would like for the teachers to have as much support and training as they possibly can.
Chris?
Okay, in regards to training, I have noticed that in this one scenario there was a lack of training in the fact that my daughter was unsupervised during the run, fell unconscious for an unknown amount of time, and when I addressed the issue, wanting to graduate with her class and go to Magic Mountain, my daughter ran because she was told by those in authority over her to run. Half a mile into the run, she tumbled down the hill between the fields at Murray unconscious. It is unknown how long she was unconscious for. She was found by 2 students who were walking who went to get a teacher. My daughter with her medical condition was unsupervised, and when medical aid was needed, it was not immediately rendered, so no adult saw it. However, I was told, well, she wasn't running alone, so it's okay, and I didn't realize that children were responsible for other children.
Okay, the next question will come from Robert, and this will go to Amy to begin with.
What long-range plan would you want to implement for the school district? And that could be having to do with growth, curriculum, staffing, parental involvement is just a few.
Thank you. I would like to see us bring in a lot more vocational ed so that we're ensuring that all of our students have options available to them. We have great partnerships with the base. We have great partnerships with Cerro Coso for educational advancement and opportunities and employment opportunities. I'd like to see more of that happening with the voc ed. And it's also actually a very long-range dream of mine, but I would like to see all of our students that are in middle school attending one middle school, and that we would put the 6th graders back to the elementary school. And that's actually one of my long-seated wishes, and I would like to continue working at being able to get to that point.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Sure. What long-range plan would you want to implement for the school district, which could include growth, curriculum, staffing, or parental involvement, to name a few?
I'd actually like to have more openness with the parents in regards to issues like this, in trying to get some help in the situation that's been going on. I've been told by the assistant superintendent that I was presenting a perceived truth, that, but the doctor said that no long-distance running. Oh, well, it was 3.1 miles. And I said, when was the last time anyone ran 3.1 miles? In trying to communicate with anybody in the school staff, I have been met with silence, or I can't address this, gosh darn it, I had something here. But there's a school district document that states that if a parent comes with a complaint to a school board member, it is to be presented to the superintendent, and I haven't heard anything. Thank you.
Tim?
The program I'd like to see continued on is the ability to have the fine arts, music, band, and all the other fine arts programs in our school district that we have going, and keep those going. The other thing I'd like to ensure is we have fiscal solvency as the ebb and flow, we were able to take care of ourselves and not have to worry about the state or the federal government bailing us out. And also have enough reserves in lean times we can actually make it through, which we've done, wonderfully over the last 20 years. And I thank the previous boards for making that happen, because if not, we'd have been bankrupt like most other school districts around the state. Also, ensure we have great facilities, world-class facilities for our kids to learn in. I mean, our new career technical education building at Burroughs is an example of that kind of program.
Okay, next question comes from Al Huey, and it'll go to, let's see, Chrissy, the beginning one. I've lost you. Chris, you'll start this one.
Okay, I thought it was her.
What are your views on the role of religion in public schools? For example, teaching of religion, teaching of creationism along with evolution, holiday observances, and etc.
My husband just looked at me and gave me the eyebrow. I am actually a firm believer of separation of church and state, in that the spiritual journey is a personal journey. The fact that we as parents are to guide our children in the faith that we want to introduce them to, and I think that the fact that the school may, in a way, play a part. I think if you're going to say, hey, we're going to teach this, but here are your other options. If we're going to teach religious diversity, then let's show them all the cards. But in all honesty, I feel that religion is a private matter, not something that should be done in a public setting. Thank you.
Tim?
I think for me, religion taught at schools for the historical values and that's how our world's developed through history, and religions are always part of the history of the development of the United States, development of most of the countries in the world were based. Maybe too far away. Sorry,
yeah, just a little bit.
We're based on religious decisions and groups moving from one country to another. So I think we'd be nearsighted to say religion shouldn't be part of schools, but the faith journey should be at a home, something you did at home at your own church. But as far as the historical value of religion, I think it should be taught equally and fairly in the schools.
Amy?
Following California standards and California curriculum, it is taught in the classrooms, religions, what the various religions around the world are, what their place in history has been. That's just part of our curriculum. It's part of our history. It touches everybody's lives. I have no issue at all with students participating as student-led, student participating if it's a Christian club, such as the Cross Club. We have several of them throughout the different secondary schools. If that's what students want to do and they need an adult sponsor for every single club, then I have no issue with that at all. Even though I'm a very strong believer, I am not a fan of teacher-led prayer in classrooms. If a student wants to pray, that's on their own. And if that's where they find support, then I want them to have the clubs available.
Okay, the next question will go to Tim, and this will come from Aaron Crutchfield.
Okay. For those in the home audience who are probably not familiar, Proposition 2 is a bill that's aimed at restoring local school districts' ability to maintain reserves as they used to. So the question is, what is your position on Proposition 2?
My position on Proposition 2, I should be more educated on Proposition 2, but the ability for districts to set their own reserve limits to make sure that the districts are solvent should be a local control. I mean, to have the state or the feds tell you how much money you need to keep in reserves, essentially all that's doing is protecting the state and the federal government from you bankrupting. So as a local district, having the ability to control how much you have in reserves, knowing based on your risk tolerance as a board and as a community that you're supporting, I think that local districts should have control of how much is in the reserve fund.
Amy?
Great question. Had our board chooses to keep a higher reserve than what is required by the state, and as a result of that, when many of our neighboring districts, when a lot of the districts, especially within California, were running out of money, they were having to do furloughs, they were having to lay off, they were having to cut programs. Some districts cut transportation. If we cut transportation, half of our kids would never make it to school. So because of the fact that we chose to have some foresight and keep higher than normal than what with the bare minimum required, we were able to not have to make those deep cuts. We were able to maintain the programs that we had, maintain transportation for our students. We did go through some tough periods of layoffs, but we've been able to bring a lot of that back.
Chris?
Oh, I'm going to pass.
Okay, she'll pass. All right, so the next question then will come from Robert, and it'll go to Amy Castillo-Covert.
Okay. Can you think of any district expense that should either be cut or increased, and why?
At the moment, I think that we're actually doing a pretty balanced. I think we're doing pretty well with what we have, how we are spending our money. There are always ways that you can improve, places that you can improve. I would want to see more money going, in as much money as we could, going into our teachers and into our support staff, maintaining our facilities, and ensuring that we have the appropriate technology to implement Common Core, and making sure that all of our students, including our special needs students and some of our other subgroups, have every piece of possible support that they need.
Chris?
I don't know anything about it, so pass.
Okay. Timothy?
This is going to be a quick night.
Yeah. It's all right.
Every
We'll
45
get
seconds.
No more questions. Go ahead.
More questions. So for me, I mean, I think our most important asset as the school district is our teachers and our staff to educate our children. So if there's more money in the budget that's available for the teachers and staff, I think that's our best money spent is for for our teachers, and it also helps recruit new teachers in the district. I mean, over the years, as the rest of the districts have raised teacher salaries and ours have kind of stayed stagnant for years and years, it's hard to recruit new teachers in town. And that was always a nice benefit when you hired new people to come on the base, that there was obviously opportunities for the school district as a supplemental hiring option for family members of people that we hired on base, and that hasn't been the case for quite a few years.
Okay. Next question is for, let's see. Oh, that's right. Never mind. Sorry, I'm getting whispers in the ear. We're going to take a short break, folks, and then we'll be right back with our candidates for Sierra Sands Unified School District School Board. Welcome back. Thank you for joining this evening here at KZGN-TV for our Sierra Sands Unified School District School Board Candidate Forum. We are asking our audience at home to pick up the phone and give us a call, but you're going to have to hurry because there's a little bit of logistics involved behind this. And so if you have a question that you would like to ask our candidates, please do so by calling 760-463-1272. You can also email your questions to forums. That's forums at kzgn.net. We're going to continue our questioning round with Al Huey, and this question will go to Christina Witt.
Okay. California is in the forefront of many areas of science, research, and study, i.e. we have the Navy base right here that does R&D. Much of California's economy is based on science and technology. What do you see as the role of science in our community as it pertains to the education of our youth?
Actually, I think I might go with that. I was a substitute teacher for a brief time at the district, and it was really, really funny. You know, I substitute teach, and then while the students were taking tests, I'd do my homework, and I'd come up, Mrs. Witt, what are you doing? And, you know, I don't want to get in trouble for using this term, but one of the classes was the Certified Ethical Hacker course. Well, what's a hacker? I'm like, are you serious? You don't know what a hacker is? And so I see that there's lacking, but I think that, you know, there's a lot of things going on our base, ranging from IT to cybersecurity to blowing things up to, you know, lasers. And I think that the sciences definitely need to be stressed. When I did in the engineering department building that they have, I was quite impressed with. But I didn't see a lot in the way of computer sciences. And, Oh, I think Scott's telling me to shut up, so I'll shut up.
No, I neglected to. I'm just giving you your countdown. I neglected to start the clock for you.
Oh, okay.
Right.
His
Sorry.
turn.
Tim.
So the question was California technology.
Yeah, let me read it real quick again. California is in the forefront of many areas of science, research, and study. Much of California economy is based on science and technology. What do you see as the role of science in our community as it pertains to the education of our youth?
So I think research development, test, and evaluation is a cornerstone of why Ridgecrest exists. I mean, the Naval Air Weapons Station's been here for 60 years, and that's been the cornerstone of keeping this community alive. Part of the education system is to ensure that our kids are educated to go out in the workplace. One place to work is, local. If we want to bring people back to strengthen our community. The other thing is just to be able to do technology kind of jobs, whether that's working on cars or fixing air conditioners, all those vocational technical classes. You need those for community strength too. So for California and for Ridgecrest, I think technology and technology curriculum is very important.
Amy?
We have a pretty substantial science and technology partnership going on with the base. We also have a good partnership going on with Saracoso Community College and the classes that are offered. The science or the CTE building that we just built and opened, I believe it was about a year ago. I think this is the second year that our kids are starting in that building, was a testament to the fact that we had shown through our grant writing that we were very strong in STEM technology and STEM education. And I think that we continue to show that with our partnerships with the education that we're offering to our students.
Chris?
I already answered it.
Oh, you did. That's right. Good catch. Good catch. Next question's from Aaron, and it'll go to Tim.
All right. Do you agree or disagree with the recent ruling by the courts that reject the teacher tenure law in California?
Tenure is an interesting topic. It depends on where you come from. I personally think professional communities should be self-sufficient without having a tenure policy. At the same time, tenure protects, personnel from working at a career for a bunch of years and then being cut as you get experience and get paid more to bring in inexperienced, lower-paid professionals. So tenure is kind of a double-edged sword. It's good to make sure that you ensure that experienced teachers and staff keep their positions, but at the same time, a lot of times tenure protects underperforming teachers also, and then you have difficulty replacing them.
Amy?
I don't have a whole lot different to add to that or take away from that. Tenure is good in that it does protect those that are good teachers, those who have put in a lot of time and effort and energy into what they're doing into teaching our students. At the same time, it can tend to protect teachers that should not be protected, that need to not be teaching in the classroom. And I think that the local districts are actually, I think we are the best judge of who in our community, who in our teaching community is doing a good job and who needs to possibly be looking at something other than teaching our students in class.
Chris?
And I actually agree. The issue that I'm running into is we have two people on staff that harmed my daughter, violated doctor's orders, put her health at risk, which makes me concerned, because if they've done it to her, what's going to stop them from doing it to somebody else? Another IEP, another medical 504, and this is as a parent struggling with this issue in regards to staff playing doctor. It's a very dangerous thing, and yet they can hide behind the protection of tenure. And I think that if I go to work, I have to earn my position. I have to produce a deliverable. If I don't do my job, I deserve to be fired. But it's exempt in this case, and I don't believe in it.
Okay, the next question is Robert's, and it will go to, we'll start off with Amy Castillo-Covert.
In what way should the local school board operate differently than it does now?
I'm not sure that there's much that I would change. When I talk to, I know a lot of people in a lot of districts across the country through my work with NAFISH, and many of the districts that I talk to, they have extremely dysfunctional boards that have a hard time working together with the best interests of their students at heart. And I think that the way that our board currently works, even though we're a very diverse group of people with very diverse opinions, beliefs, experiences, and everything that we bring to the table, we are able to put those differences aside. We're able to sit down and look at what needs to be done, what's in the best interest of our students, what's in the best interest of our staff and of our community. So I actually don't think there's much that I would change.
Chris? Stop, please. Just
it
a
did
second.
to me again.
It did it.
It happened to me last time.
No, it's not doing it to you. It's doing it to the bonehead moderator. But anyway, we'll get this set here. Just a second. I'm
Happened
sorry.
at the last time too.
Do you want to repeat that question, please, for Chris?
Most certainly. In what way should the local school board operate differently than it does now?
In my case, in trying to be heard, I was pretty much reaching out to anybody who would listen. And in going through the paperwork that it took me a while just to dig through to get, I got verbal criticism against an employee initially made to a board member or at a board meeting will be referred to the superintendent for appropriate consideration and action according to the administrative regulations. When a complaint is made, the superintendent or designee shall determine whether it should be resolved by the district's process for complaints concerning personnel, the district's uniform complaint procedures, or both. And, actually I'm running out of time, so that's it.
Tim?
I think right now the board's functioning very well. I mean, the move from going from 7 down to 5, that was a good rework for the board to get to a manageable size for the size of our district. I mean, when the district started out, multiple years ago, it merged 3 districts together, and that's kind of the composition that turned out today with the 7. Well, previously having 7 members, now we're going down to 5. Being on the board for 4 years, from 2008 2012, I think the board worked well then, and they're still working fine today. So I think, as Amy said, the diversity on the board of what all the members brought to the table and bring to the table is very important for keeping a strong board, for making sure that all the community's needs are being met.
Okay, the next question comes from Al Huey, and this one will go to Christina Witt.
Please state your opinion either for or against year-round schools locally.
I am actually for them, because my kids drive me nuts over the summer. Nothing to do. And that's all I have to say on that.
Tim?
I think year-round school comes with a lot of interesting, not issues, but just things you have to work through as a district. The utilities for the school, paying for stuff, that's one thing. Just rewiring everybody's schedule as far as CIF sports and programs, and those all can be worked out. For me, I wouldn't mind having year-round school just so I can take vacation in the fall and go to the East Coast and see the pretty colors, or go on vacation with my kids and when nobody else is on vacation. That's the plus side. The other nice thing is if you do like 9 weeks on, 3 weeks off, it gives a chance for the students to get refreshed every 9 weeks and start over. But at the same time, the long summer breaks are nice too. So I'm kind of either way I'm kind of good with.
Amy?
There's pros and cons, as have already been stated. One of the biggest challenges, because we've talked about it before, this district, we always are looking at what should we be doing now, forward thinking, what's going to save the most money so that we can put more money back into our programs and back into salaries. And one of the biggest challenges with us with having year-round schooling is our facilities are not designed to house upwards of 300-400 students in an area where temperatures outside are up to 115. The utility cost alone would be horrendous for us if we're trying to run all of our schools in July. And so for us, that's part of it. And part of it is this, it's a challenge trying to get everybody's tracks right and making sure that everyone is compatible.
I had a quick comment on the question. My sister-in-law, the reason I bring it up, my sister-in-law was a retired teacher, and she had a plaque at her house that said the 3 best things about teaching. June, July, and August.
Correct. Correct.
And now it's really just July. But
Yeah. True.
The next question will come from Aaron Crutchfield. This will be for Tim Johnson.
Okay. What is your opinion of the current school district policies towards students with special needs? For example, mainstreaming behavioral problem students, English as a second language, breakfast programs, students who face the problems of poverty, family problems, and so on.
I think as a district, we've addressed it very well by integrating all students appropriately into where they need to be, whether that's mainstreaming students or pull-out programs for students that need special help during the day. Our SELPA, our special ed local program agency, the SELPA, yeah, it's a hard one to remember, but the SELPA has actually done a really good job of making sure that all the special education needs are being met. The programs at Richmond and throughout the school district are very impressive. If you ever go to back to school night or open house at those schools, it's just heartwarming to go into the Richmond building and see the awesome program they have going on there. Those programs are very expensive. They do cost a lot of money to run, but I think that's very good use of money as a district. I mean, the special education transportation budget is always negative spending, and because the federal government doesn't reimburse correctly or appropriately. So, but I think all students need a equal education.
Amy?
Free and appropriate public education and least restrictive environment are the 2 reasons that we use the programs that we use right now. Sorry. We are required by law to put students into the least restrictive environment, and sometimes that means that for that student's disability, it may be in a classroom setting that is not what one would expect. I am an interesting person to ask that question of because I have 3 children that are special ed, and one of my sons, I felt that they should have put him into a more restrictive environment because I felt it wasn't fair to the other students in his class to be distracted and disrupted by him on a regular basis. But the law required that that's where he had to be. I think that our district does the best job that we can with that, and all those children are entitled to exactly that.
Christina?
Can you repeat the question one more time, please?
Okay. The question is, what is your opinion of the current school district policies towards students with special needs? For example, mainstreaming behavioral problem students, English as a second language, breakfast programs, students who face problems of poverty, family problems, and so on.
Okay. I have obviously a daughter with a medical 504, which at Burroughs is working very, very well. The PE teacher is working with me. He's working with my daughter's doctors as we try and find the underlying cause to what's going on, which I think is very important. My son is not at charter school. He's not in the district, but he has auditory processing disorder, and I've actually found that putting him in a mainstream course has actually helped his disability because he's forced to have to accommodate and customize. Now, understandably, as a substitute teacher, I also understand with the behavioral. I did Murray and stuff, and I was impressed with what I saw.
Next question is from Robert Eierman, and this will go to Amy Castillo-Covert.
In a non-school board setting, in other words, you were out in town or at the grocery store, how would you handle a request if you were approached by an individual, a parent, a teacher, or a special interest group?
Happens on a daily basis. I frequently choose not to go to the store. No. As one of my children asked me, because they hate going to the store with me, do you know everybody in town? Pretty much. I have there's a basic chain of command that you follow. If you're having an issue, go to the teacher. If you don't get it resolved with the teacher, you go to the administrator. If you don't get it resolved there, then your next step is the superintendent. If you don't get it resolved with the superintendent, then you can bring it to the board. If you don't follow that chain of command, then you're hamstringing people who may be able to help you along the way. And that's just my basic. I listen to them. I tell them where I think that they need to next look, and it's inevitably to the teacher, administrator, superintendent, board.
Chris?
Can you repeat that one more time?
Certainly. If you were in a non-board setting, how would you handle a request if you were approached by an individual, a teacher, or a special interest group?
I think one of the things that, in light of what's been going on in my situation, there was a lot of, well, first I have to get past the legalese. They were legalizing their way out of stuff and sitting there saying, justifying the behavior. And it's like all I wanted was, yeah, you're right, what happened was wrong, and what can we do to help you? But the paperwork that I got here took digging. This happened in May, and I got this stuff in October. And it was very, very hard that I had to fight this on my own, you know, and trying to I couldn't talk to the principal. She's the one that did it. I couldn't, you know, so I was trying to work my way up, but not getting anything. And it's very, very frustrating.
Tim?
So as Amy stated, being previously on the board and then post-board and now running for election, it's a daily occurrence running somebody asking a question about school district, you know, policies or procedures or, you know, what they heard or what ifs. And as Amy said, you know, handling at the lowest level is the best way to take care of any problem. So, you know, go to the teacher, go to the principal, then work your way up into the superintendent, and if all else fails, the board is the place to come to get the problem resolved. And ultimately, the only person that works for the school board is the superintendent. Everybody else works for the superintendent. So, I mean, the board hires and fires the superintendent, and everybody else works for the superintendent. So, the board's job is to set policy and direction for the district and make sure they're fiscally solvent. And after that, everything should be handled at the lowest level.
Thank you. Okay, that completes our series of question rounds, and we are now going to move to our closing statements by the candidates. The candidates will each be given a minute and a half to make a closing statement and appeal for your vote. Meanwhile, I need to have these gentlemen over here tell us about how we can find these videos on YouTube and a bit about the broadcast while I reset the clock.
You can always view any of the KZGN-TV shows by going to YouTube, and you can always into the search bar type in Ridgecrest Talk if that's a show you're interested in, or just KZGN-TV into the search bar, and all the shows should come up, including the news, and you should be able to scroll down and select whichever one you want.
Holy mackerel, I just got stuck on something. Thank you, Robert. That's right. Appreciate the help. Yes, the videos from our prior two, this is the third and final of our candidate forums. 2 of them are now posted on YouTube. Just go into KZGN television or just search KZGN on YouTube. Subscribe. The videos are there so you can watch at your convenience. We will begin our candidate closing statements with Tim Johnson.
So once again, thank you for hosting us tonight for this open forum for the public to kind of get a little insight of what all the candidates, what we're thinking about, and what's our passion. I think one of the things that drives me to be on the board is making sure that all the kids have the same opportunity. And I mean, our kids are our future. Without a good education system, you'd be remiss as a parent to not let your kids have the best education they can get. That's their future. I think one of the special things I bring to the board is my ties to the military and the base. That's one thing. And I've been in the community for over 30 years. I mean, my wife's a teacher. I've had 4 kids go to through the school district. 2 have graduated. I still have 2 in high school. And I think it's a it's an awesome school district. I was proud to serve for the 4 years I served, and I'd like the opportunity to serve again. Also, if you look at Tim Johnson for School Board on Facebook, I have a little Facebook site there that you can look at. I'll try to post this video there so everybody has the opportunity to look at it from my site. I want to thank Amy and Christina coming tonight. These are always nice to get together and just talk about issues that we're concerned about that affects the community. I think that's all I have. So thank you very much for the opportunity to be here tonight.
Thank you, Tim. Amy Castillo-Covert.
I'd like to thank you again for this opportunity as well. Being involved with the school board and being involved with the education of the students in this community has been a passion of mine for the last 14 years. Longer than that, it just took me a while to get up to speed and decide that I wanted to make a difference from the other side of the dais. Instead of standing on one side yelling at everybody, I decided that maybe I should be on the other side of it, listening to people. I know this evening helped provide information to our community and those who will be casting their vote. I believe I have a good relationship with our teachers and our classified staff, with parents and students, and I'm a firm believer that such a relationship is vital when working together for our students. I have a sound understanding of the mission and goals of our district, and I believe that all children, whether they're special ed, whether they're gifted, no matter what, ELL, it doesn't matter, they're all entitled to a free and appropriate education to help them be the best that they can ever hope to be. I have good relationships with our elected officials, which in a day and age where we're having to fight for funding on a regular basis, I think that's really important. I've been endorsed by Kevin McCarthy, who's our congressman and House Majority Leader, Gene Fuller and Shannon Grove, who are our elected officials at the state level. And I would appreciate your vote. I also have a Facebook page, Amy Castillo-Covert, for Sierra Sands Unified School District Board, and you're welcome to visit me there. You're also welcome to call me at 608-1060 or email me, acovert@ssusd.org. Thank you for your time, and thank you for all those who are truly concerned with the education in our community.
Thank you. Christina Witt.
I would like to thank Tim and Amy for putting up with my stuff. I'm sure it was very uncomfortable, and they really did handle themselves well, so I'm giving them kudos for that. To come to the conclusion of what's been going on, I did ask for a resolution at the school. I was constantly told that, oh, well, we interpreted long distance running to mean 3.1 miles, despite the fact that no one had ever run 3 miles at Murray. They were legalizing my stuff. I'm on here because I want people to know, if you have a 504, a medical 504, if you have an IEP, please go back to your doctors and make sure it is very, very specific. Because this, you know, the teacher saw it, she told me about it, and this was the response I got. And I do want to give a special thanks to Mr. Pierce, who, as a PE teacher, never saw my daughter under these medical conditions, and yet the minute he got that medical 504, he called me up and said, I need clarification. Not only did he ask for clarification, he said, what can I do to help you? He recommended my daughter get a heart rate monitor so he could monitor her health as she walked and ran the track. Sat there and said, listen to your body. He is working with my daughter's cardiologist and her other specialists that we're doing, and I am actually very encouraged. What I'm not encouraged about is that this is being hidden. I even said something about it on the school board's Facebook, which was deleted. So this is an issue that needs to come up.
Okay, I'm going to run down the list with you guys again and give you a chance. I'd like to offer our viewers at home another chance to jot down how you'd prefer to get a hold of you. If you have an email address, a telephone number that you'd like to use, or restate your Facebook page, and we'll just start with Tim and just go down the line. So, how would you like candidates to reach you?
You can call me on my cell phone, 760-977-1167, or on my Facebook page, Tim Johnson for SSUSD School Board. And I think it's probably the easiest way of getting a hold of me.
Great. How about you? I know you mentioned it once, and that was good thinking ahead, but we're going to give you a chance again.
So I don't have to rush through it and not put in the area code?
No, you don't have. There's no hurry right now. I'll start squealing when it's time to quit. So.
No, call me on my cell phone, text me, 760-608-1060, if I don't get back to you right away, it's just because I'm at work and I can't take cell calls at work.
Okay.
But I will get back to you. And Facebook is always a good method. I do have a personal page, which you're welcome to contact me on, but I would prefer that you contact me on my one that's specific for the campaign, which is Amy Castillo-Covert for SSUSD School Board. It can also be reached at acovert@ssusd.org, and I check that regularly. So I'd like to hear from you.
Chris?
If you guys have any questions, I'd love to talk to anybody who wants to hear more about the story, the documentation, the history of this, and because I want to get this out. If you have an issue, I want to help you. You can reach me on my cell phone at 760-382-4375. If I do not answer, I'm at work. I might be in a classified area, so I can't have my phone. Also, you can reach me at Christina.Witt, the number 1, at Verizon.net, or on Facebook, either at the Indian Wells Valley Discussion Forum, which I frequent on a regular basis. You can see my antics all over the place there. And I do have my own personal Facebook page. You can either instant message me, email me, or just put something on my board.
Okay, well, on behalf of KZGN, first of all, I want to thank you all very much for your participation. Thank you, candidates. I really appreciate you coming down here and talking to the people and sharing your ideas. This is the last of our public forums. This will be broadcast on a repeat basis, and you can probably look for it on Facebook, on KZGN's page or on their website. We will also have it in my forum, which I'm going to give a plug to, the Indian Wells Valley Discussion Forum on Facebook. Just send us a join request and we'll keep you up to date. From KZGN-TV, this concludes our program. Be sure to get out and vote. Thank you very much.